So I bought another PS2 Portable from Aliexpress. This one has real hardware inside of a Wii U Gamepad, which sounds pretty interesting, right? I'm pretty excited to open this thing up, see what's inside. Let's go ahead and open this thing up and check it out. This is a very interesting packing job. I'm not sure why it's not in a box, but they really wrapped it up good with bubble wrap. And I don't remember exactly how much I paid. I'll throw it up on the screen, but go ahead and roast me down below if you think I paid too much. So we're getting close here. And this thing actually has a PlayStation design on the back of it. I guess that's the back. Here it is. Oh man, that is wild. That is straight up just a Wii U gamepad with a PS2 built in. That's crazy. And of course we also have a power brick in here, pretty standard. So here it is, and man, this thing is very interesting looking. First of all, they shrink wrap the whole thing, and this joystick is kind of tilted to the left. I hope that's not an issue. I guess let's go ahead and unwrap it. Now I'm not sure where they got the Wii U gamepad from. I don't know if they harvested it from a working system or a non-working system. Not sure. And there is our SD card. So this is how you play games. We'll get into that later. And here are our thumbsticks and our buttons. Supposedly all the buttons are like, uh-oh, we got an issue. No way, dude. The ZR button doesn't click. Come on, this thing was looking cool, looking good. ZR button doesn't click. Come on, man, it's always something. So I just wanted to pause real quick and tell you guys that I am giving away a PS5. All you got to do is use the link down below to sign up for Whatnot. Then you got to follow me at Whatnot, and then you have to be present in the live stream when I give away the PS5, and you'll be entered to win for free. And if you don't know what Whatnot is, it's basically an app where I can live stream and sell video games at the same time. So let me show you the process right now. So all you got to do is click on the Whatnot link down below in the description. But once you click on the link, it'll say Jacob R gave you $10 in Whatnot credit. You'll click claim your credit, and then you will sign up. Once you've signed up, you'll go to the Whatnot app. Once the app opens up, click on the gift icon up at the top, and you should see your $10 in credits. If you don't, send me a message so I can get it fixed. Then you go to the search icon, type in Jacob R, then click on users, and you'll see my name at the top. Click on that, and then click follow, and then go down below and bookmark all my shows so you know when I go live. And if you go in here, you can actually go to my store and go ahead and go to buy it now. And I'll have some goodies down there that you can use your $10 credit on, so make sure not to miss out. All right, so let's just go through this thing, and then we'll turn it on and see if it works. So here on the back, we have a interesting PlayStation logo. I see what they're trying to do here, but it honestly looks a little bit sloppy. I would have just left the whole thing black on the back. But clearly it's more beefy than a Wii U gamepad. I actually have a Zelda Wii U gamepad here, like a real one. So we can compare real quick and see what they look like side by side. I guess first of all, let me take off this cover right here. It always feels good to remove a little bit of plastic wrap from a glossy surface. So take about 1 second, look at these gamepads, tell me down below which one is the real one, which one is the PS2 Portable. I'll go ahead and tell you the one on the bottom is the PS2 Portable, one on top is the real one. And as you can see, they're very similar. Now the colors actually seem slightly different, so the colors on the legit gamepad is a little bit more golden than this. This looks a little bit faded. So I'm not sure if they like recreated this, reprinted it. I don't know if it's from a real Wii U gamepad, but everything, the button placements look perfect. You know, the buttons here, they feel exactly the same. Even the clicking feels exactly the same, but these are golden buttons, these are white. These have different thumbsticks, and this thumbstick does appear to be tilted to the left just a bit, so hopefully we don't have any drift there. Clearly there's no camera here. Doesn't appear to be a camera because we don't need a camera on the PS2. Actually, that would be really cool if they integrated the PS2i into this thing, but I doubt they did that. But I mean, otherwise they kept it, you know, pretty much the same. It looks very similar. Now comparing the thickness, just from the top, they're actually about the same. I'm not sure if we're gonna focus here, but clearly the PS2 Portable on the bottom is a whole lot thicker than this one up here. It's just like thick all the way down. This one has some contours for your hands. So on the real gamepad, you can see all the contours. It has easy access to the battery. And then obviously on this one, it's just like a flat back. So back to the PS2 Portable, the buttons actually feel very nice. It feels like the real buttons, which supposedly they are. You know, you even have your power, your TV control. I don't know what the TV control controls here, but then here on the top, it's actually got the, you know, the real buttons. But of course, like I mentioned earlier, ZR is not clicking. I'm not sure what that issue is. You know, it might be because they wrapped it up so tightly. I don't know. And then right here up top is where your USB stick goes, which some people mentioned this in the last video when I had another PS2 Portable. It had the same issue where you have a USB drive sticking out of the top, which is a little bit annoying. It's not the end of the world, but I agree it would have been cool if it was flush. So I guess let's go ahead and turn this thing on, and hopefully it does turn on. I'm not sure what the actual power button is. Okay, clearly power does not power it on. Maybe this powers it on? Yep, there we go. All right, so that at least turns on the screen and gives us power. Now to turn on the PS2, maybe we click the home button. Oh, that's actually really cool. So when you click the home button, it turns green. And there it is, it's definitely turning on. Very loud. Oh, this is interesting. So the power button is volume up and the TV button is volume down. I guess that's cool that they reused the buttons, but that's just kind of random. And yeah, here we are. It is a legit PS2. The only thing, oh man, it kind of would have been cool. You know, I like how they kept the buttons here, the same as the Wii U Gamepad, but it would have been kind of cool if they swapped this out to an X, a circle, a triangle, and a square, because it is a bit annoying. You know, when I see A and B, I always want to click A to advance, but it's actually B on the PlayStation. But yeah, let's see if we can boot up into this USB drive and check it out. So we are booted into OPL now. As you can see, there's some games here. These are preloaded from the Aliexpress seller. And just a few notes. So first of all, it took me a while to get into OPL. It kind of was just random. You know, I couldn't figure out any specific button sequence to get from the main menu to OPL. So I'm not sure if this is the right way, but I finally figured out how to boot into OPL. So if you click on browser and then click on the memory card and then hold down R1 to back out of the memory card and then back out onto the main screen, it'll boot into OPL. And then it takes like 10 or 15 seconds, but it loads up. And also this R2 button, it does work. It just doesn't click. Like as you can see, press L2 there, press R2, and it does go to the end of the list, but it just doesn't like have the full click to it. So still not perfect, but at least it does work. And by the way, if you're not familiar with OPL, it is an open source software where you can basically load up games from an external drive or USB drive and homebrew, that sort of thing. So I'm not going to claim to be any sort of expert on OPL or FreeMcBoot or anything. So if I miss anything in this video, make sure to let me know down below. So yeah, supposedly this is an IPS screen, and the viewing angles actually are pretty solid. So I guess it probably is an IPS screen, 6.5 inch. And let's go ahead and I guess we'll just boot up a game. All right, so we got a lot of random games here. We got Black, God of Hand, God of War 2, Killer 7, Kingdom Hearts, Mafia. It's like they just loaded up random games. NCAA Football 08, Silent Hill 2. Honestly, I'm going to load up NCAA Football because it's a pretty bright game, so it'll be easy to see on the screen, hopefully. So it seemed like I was having some issues booting up. It was like flashing from black to blue like 10 times, but I mean, it seems like it booted up now. Yeah, here it is. And so the screen actually looks a little bit better in person than it does on the camera. It is a little bit, the frame rate's not perfect. It's a little bit jittery, but I mean, I think that's just the PS2. I mean, it is from the PS2 era. It's, you know, it's not perfect. It is stretched out. I think we can change that in OPL, and I'll try that later. So I don't think I've mentioned it yet, but it is a bit slow to load games, and cutscenes are a bit slow, and that's because it's loading off a USB. And you know, back in the PS2 era, the USB was not the fastest, so it actually loads slower than it would on a disc. But of course, the benefits there is we're using a USB drive instead of a giant disk drive, which I've had people ask in the past why we don't use disk drives on these portable consoles. I feel like it should be pretty obvious. I mean, that would make the console just absolutely massive. So I'm just going to show you some gameplay while I talk about this thing a little bit more. It's actually pretty impressive. I mean, so far the buttons are responsive, screen looks good, no issues with loading times. I mean, we are in a sports game, so we're not like going through cutscenes or anything, so that helps. Buttons are good so far. You know, I haven't had any issues with stick drift on the right stick, which I was worried about because, you know, it seemed to be stressed a little bit in shipping. So far my only issue is the right trigger, which like I said, it works, but it just doesn't click all the way, which is a little bit weird, but I mean, it's working. And one thing I figured out earlier that I don't think I mentioned yet, this home button down here actually has 2 levels. So if you press it down all the way, it does reset or turn off the system. If you press it down just a little bit though, it loads up this menu on the screen where you can change the brightness, contrast, that sort of thing. So that's pretty cool. Now let's go back. I want to try a different game now with some loading screens, and we'll see how that performs. So I've played through Silent Hill for a few minutes, not very long at all, but I am in the first cutscene and no issues, no jittering or anything so far. You know, there's probably some games it's worse with. I read that Final Fantasy is bad for playing off a USB drive, but regardless, what I'm most interested in now is turning this thing off and opening it up and taking a look inside to see what's really going on inside of this bad boy. So I have the back cover unscrewed now. There are only 6 screws here, pretty easy to take apart. Now let's see if the back comes off. There we go. Just want to make sure I don't break anything. So, you know, at first glance, this thing actually looks pretty solid on the inside. My favorite part is the fact that the cables from one end to the other just jump across right there. I have seen portable consoles where you have a cable from here to like here, and you just can't open it up very easily. This one you can open up pretty decently, and you have 2 massive battery packs here. This one started falling out of place. And actually, I'm noticing now that this battery was soldered pretty poorly. It's just completely disconnected from the solder. So zoomed in here, we have our positive terminal, and it's supposed to be soldered to that port, but it's not anymore. It's just loose. So I think it touches enough to give it power when I turn it on. Kind of the same thing on this side as well. As you can see, it is a bit loose and not actually soldered to the point. So that's something I can try to fix by resoldering, but honestly, these are not the best battery terminals. They should have used the, you know, typical battery terminals where you have a spring on one side and then the contact on the other. I mean, there's a reason why they use that and not whatever they did here. Not a big fan of that. Now, if you look at the other battery, it clearly uses a contact that's a bit better for batteries, so it results in a better contact with the battery. Honestly, I'm not sure what this red battery is for, or if they're just trying to add capacity by sticking a random battery in here. Not sure. These are pretty beefy batteries, though. Supposedly, this thing has 3 to 5 hours of battery life. Now, I have not tested that out, but that's just what they claim. So, just taking a look at other stuff in here, there is a PS2 9000 motherboard down here. I'm not a big fan of what they're doing out here. Let me zoom in real quick. So we have this custom board right here laying on top of this chip on the PS2 motherboard. Not a big fan of that. It could get shorted out. It'd probably be okay because it's propped up a little bit, but yeah, just not a huge fan. And so here in the middle, we have a heat sink just glued to the motherboard. I guess this is a fan just blowing the air out that way, out of the bottom. That's interesting setup. It's only covering like half the heat sink. And then we have this board down here that's just kind of propped up against the side of the case. We definitely have some sketchy stuff going on in here. Even this ribbon cable looks a little bit sketchy, but it's just kind of what happens with custom stuff like this. Now the top here where we have the screen actually looks a bit better, but let's go ahead and investigate this right trigger, and it's clicking fine now. I wonder if it has something to do with how the case is wrapping around it. So I just put it back together and the right button seems to work fine now. So I'm not sure what was going on, but it's all good to go now. Let's see if it still boots up. I'm hoping it does. So this thing does still boot up, which is good to see, although when I tilt it this way, it seems like the battery sometimes comes out of place, and it actually did turn off on me just a second ago. So I'm probably gonna have to resolder that battery in there. But other than that, this thing actually is pretty solid. It's a really cool device. I think it's awesome they integrated it into a Wii U gamepad. It's not perfect because the B, A, X, and Y are just a bit annoying since you're playing a PS2 with Nintendo configurations. But once we got this right trigger working, everything on the outside seems to work fine. And yep, there it is. So the battery came disconnected and it turned off. So I'm gonna have to fix that. But other than that and a few sketchy looking things on the inside, this thing is pretty dang cool. Let me know down below if you guys would buy it. I'll probably sell this on my store at some point in time because I don't need this many portable consoles. But yeah, let me know down below what you think about it, and thanks for watching.